Hello, I'm Dr. Terry James Gingras, and this is Dr. G's ADHD Chat. It's a show trying to make the world safe for ADHDers. If this is your first time, I am a clinical psychologist in private practice, and I am the parent, father obviously, of at least two ADHD kids, and I have also married into a family with a lot of ADHD. And all this was before there was such a thing as ADHD. Okay, this is history, but you need to know in 1980, the American Psychiatric Association first put attention deficit disorder into the diagnostic manual. 7 years later, they put ADHD in the diagnostic manual. They changed the name. Don't know why exactly, but here we are. Okay, I have been doing a series on executive functioning and ADHD. Today we're at number 6, which is impulsivity. This is just a random order. There's no priority or anything. But impulsivity is an issue with ADHDers that causes a lot of difficulties. You think about anytime you make a decision, there are some people or some of us who think it through, consider the pros and the cons, the advantages and disadvantages, maybe even talk to somebody else about making the decision. And then there are those who it's done before anybody knows anything about it or before they even have thought about it. And that can cause a lot of difficulties, everything from, it can cause social problems. You just are one of those that blurts out in front of everybody else instead of holding wait until your turn. And that causes some difficulties. Also with relationships. If you're married and, your spouse never knows what to expect when you come in the door, or you coming in with a brand new pair of Nikes or, 50 bags of potato chips or, whatever hits your mind. And that causes a lot of troubles in relationships that, it's probably the impulsivity that causes more problems than almost anything. Also, impulsivity frequently causes difficulties because you establish relationships faster than other people. You just, I like you a lot. We've been out twice. Let's get married. That's an impulsive decision. And sometimes they work out, but a lot of times they don't. And that's because you haven't thought it through and you haven't really seen if you and the other person have a bond of some sort or can get along well. Of course, some people can't live with somebody who just blurts out whatever pops into their head when it pops into their head. And others think that's sort of charming. But if you haven't had some time to develop the relationship, impulsivity is probably not going to be a good thing for you. Other things that have to do with impulsivity can get you into financial troubles because you just had to have that new pickleball racket or a new pair of, I don't know, do they have pickleball shoes yet? Anyway, a new pair of pickleball shoes or what the heck, let's go to France this weekend and catch some of the Olympics, or there are just all sorts of possibilities to get into trouble if you don't think things through. And that includes, it's a player. It's not the main cause, but it is a player in some of the addiction problems that ADHDers have. It's one of those, it's not a balanced decision. It's just, oh, there it is. I think I'll drink it, or I think I'll smoke it, or I think I'll swallow it, or without considering all the ramifications, that can cause you some difficulties. And the the toys that ADHD, particularly the men, but I'm not so sure if the ladies are a little just quiet about it, but he's the ADHD guys, and he's got a $50,000 boat and a $60,000 pickup truck to tow it, and he's living in a one-story ranch that was built in 1950 and has one bathroom and maybe two bedrooms. Probably not the wisest partitioning of finances. And but you know what they say, the only difference between the men and the boys is the cost of their toys. It applies certainly to ADHD men. The other, the significant issues are a lot of things, and an impulsive set means you haven't had time to really think through what it is you're trying to do. You haven't really thought about what the consequences of a decision are. And basically, if you know you have a problem, you got to figure out where the biggest part of the problem is. Is it a problem socially? Is it a problem how you spend your money? Is it a problem with drugs or alcohol? I mean, could be candy. It's but you have to kind of start somewhere. Start with one that's causing you the most problems, and then you've got to figure out. I am just using my impulse part of my brain, and I'm not using the judgment part. You've got to figure out a way to start actually thinking about your decisions, about judging those decisions. And if you don't, you're going to continue to get into trouble with it. And how do you do that? Well, there are all sorts of ways, but you've got to, first of all, you got to know that for you, it's going to be a little frustrating at first. I really want that. I really want a bed. No, wait a minute. You have to allow yourself to stop and think about it. If you do that by writing down, self-monitoring kinds of things where you have a little log that you write down what you're thinking about doing, why you want it, can you afford it, all those things. And you probably want to have, depending on what your problem area is, say it's finance, you want to have some specific steps that you go through, things what's my bank balance? This is probably the first one. If spending too much is your problem, what's my bank balance? Can I actually afford to do this? And what am I thinking about buying? If it's a one-time shot, then it's more or less, do I have enough money in the bank to pay for it and meet all my other expenses? If it's one of these subscription things, which are all over the place, like now, like in amazing places that I never would have considered. But it's that you have to decide if you can carry that money for that long. Maybe for the rest of your life, if you're thinking about, can I handle $20 a month for the rest of my life? And you have to really, think about that, and you have to analyze it. And ideally, you're using the judgment part of your brain when you look at this sort of thing. Now, I know that there are some ADHDers out there who are accountants. Okay, just love those numbers, love that. Well, use that. Look at what you've got. You probably got your budget on your cell phone. But anyway, you want to be checking against what's coming in for you, what you can count on for income, and so on and so forth, before you make a purchase, even if it's the most beautiful softball glove you've ever seen in your whole life, or the nicest pair of earrings that you've ever seen. Anyway, you have to take a step. Don't do it right away. Hold yourself back from doing it right away. If you have to, you get everything from a slightly painful stimulus, like having a rubber band on your wrist, and you pop it, and then that's your signal. Get out of the immediate situation. Go think about the purchase, say, in this case. Analyze it, really have thought it through. And then if it's still okay, go ahead and do it. Okay? It's not meant to take all the pleasure out of life, but it is meant to keep you from having some of the worst problems with that. And other, there can be simple things, but you have to get that delay. The delay between I want it and whether or not you actually buy it. Okay, and you have to figure out a way to slow that down so you can think about it a little bit. And some people, it's do 10 push-ups. For some people, it's just leave the situation, walk outside for about 5 minutes, and then while you're thinking about it, and analyzing. But anything that will slow you down. Write things down in a notebook. Write what you're considering doing in a notebook. Why do I want this? Is it really important that I get it? Is it? What are the consequences of buying it? Am I going to have to give up something else because I bought this, or am I going to have to, cut way back on a lot of stuff because I bought this? And what's it going to do for you? What is the good thing? It's like anything else, pluses and minuses. What are the things that I like, or that will be augmented by this, by this brand new pickleball paddle? What will be the difference in my game or whatever? And then the other part of that is, what's the bad part of it? It was $100 for a pickleball paddle. What the heck? Or more, for that matter. Is that a reasonable purchase? But can I justify that based on what I'm making? If you're making 6 or 7 figures, hey, sure, you can buy a pickleball paddle if you want, no problem. But if you have a high salary, you may have high expenses. What's your overhead like? It's like anything else. You have to figure the pluses and the minuses. Oh boy, my company made $100 million this year. Okay, what was your overhead? How much did your company keep of the money they made? If they spent nearly $100 million to get that $100 million, they aren't doing so well. Okay, and if you are in that same boat where you're making a pretty good salary, but you're spending it like crazy, you need to stop and you need to think about it, and you need to figure out a way to control yourself, because your impulses are killing you. And that's the bottom line. If you're an adult, you need to build in some time between desiring something and actually purchasing it, and figure out a way how much do you need, what time, to really think about it before you're satisfied with your decision. It's just you want to keep yourself from buying the first thing that pops into your eye, the next bright shiny object. Okay, you want to get yourself slowed down enough that you really think it through. And we all of us have some impulsivity, in some areas. It's just, I'm not really good if you bring me into a sporting goods store, or maybe one that has a lot of microphones and audio equipment. So you need to know that about yourself too. What is your weak area? What are you likely to get yourself into trouble with? And if it's social situations, it's just, you've got to have some signal to yourself that you're going to slow down. Maybe make a fist 3 or 4 times without letting anybody see that you're doing that. something that reminds you, something that disrupts that flow of I want, I want. Something that gets your brain a little bit of time to start working. And they can be something physical, could be doing an exercise, could be just stepping away from the situation and taking a walk around the store before you come back if you want to buy it. Okay, this is kind of a vague area, frankly. I mean, your impulsivity just means you don't think stuff through, and given ADHDers have way more attention fibers in their brains than neurotypicals. They're aware of everything. That there's all kinds of stuff out there. What I really like and all that kind of thing. So you go in there and you see all the bright shiny objects, whereas somebody else may not see them all and therefore wouldn't be bothered by it. But the big deal is to get a delay. Get yourself a procedure you follow. Maybe writing it down, that's probably not a bad idea at all. It's better than popping it into your iPhone or whatever, is to actually do the physical work of writing it down. Because that slows you. You have to concentrate more when you do that. Okay, I am Dr. Terry James Gingrass. This has been Dr. G's ADHD Chat, a show trying to make the world safe for ADHDers. My website is terrygingrassphd.com, and I have a Calendly program that will let you make an appointment if you want to do an interview for coaching. I do a fair amount of that. And with a lot of ADHD executives and entrepreneurs. And so if you want to do that, just, go ahead and go to the Kajabi part of the website, and we will have a chat. And of course, it's free. Okay, we will catch you next time.